Hey friends, welcome back to Pretty Extra. I'm your host Amanda Saez, and I am here with
Krystal Zimbaldi.
I am so honored to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my God. So as you guys know, it is October. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I just had to have you here today because it is such a touching, hard thing that so many women go through. My grandmother actually died from breast cancer. My mom had a lump removed. I found out that I had 2 lumps in my right breast this year, and I met you around the time that I found that out. I just wanted to have you on because I met you, and from the moment that I met you, you were just so inspiring to me. Like, yeah, your story is just incredible, and you are just such a beautiful person inside and out.
Thanks,
so
you too.
Thank you. So yeah, please tell us, how did you find out that you had breast cancer?
Oh, girl, it's a long story, but I'm going to make it as short as I can.
Sure.
So I'm always like one to go to the doctor every single year.
Yeah.
So every year I get my physical at the gynecologist or, the physicians. And this was a yearly, just a yearly checkup. And my doctor felt a lump. And I was like, oh, I've never felt that before. And she's like, go get it checked out. So at the time I was living in West Palm, and I got it checked out, and they sent me to a radiologist, and the radiologist did a ultrasound, and they were like, oh, it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's dense breast tissue.
Yeah.
So I had very large natural breasts. So they were just like, you're good. It's nothing. Move
Probably
on.
hormonal or something, your period. Yeah.
Honestly, they didn't even like call me. They were just like, I think in the portal, like, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So I moved on with my life, and then about less than a year later, I moved to Miami, which was last year in January. I was 33 years old, and I was like, let me find new doctors just so I'm established here in Miami. So I got a new OBGYN, and she went in and felt the same lump. And she's like, you have a lump. And I was like, oh yeah, don't worry. Like less than a year ago, I got it checked out, and they said it was nothing. And she was like, well, I'm sure it's nothing, but I want to send you to my radiologist just to be safe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I go there. The lady does what she has to do. And she's like, listen, I've been doing this for a long time. It doesn't look like anything. She's like, but let's just do a biopsy just because it's the second time in a year, like whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. She went in, she did the biopsy, and she called me, and she was like, before I left, she was like, hey, she was like, tell your mom you're fine. Go home. I looked at everything under like, the x-ray machine, whatever it is, and you're good. I was like, okay. 2 days later, she called me. And I can hear it in her voice. And she's like, you have invasive ductal carcinoma. And I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
What is that? Because nobody in my family has cancer.
Yeah.
So do you know what invasive ductal carcinoma?
I'd never heard of that in my life. No.
A normal person has no idea.
I don't even know how they came up with that name. Like,
exactly. So, and she was like so apologetic. She was like, I remember telling you to leave and feel good about yourself and go to sleep and tell your mom you were fine.
Yeah.
She's like, I feel like a piece of shit for telling you that. But she was so convinced. So the reason she was is because dense breast tissue is so fatty.
Yeah.
So tumors hide in it. Okay. So under an ultrasound, I had a mammogram after, and you couldn't even see it.
Really?
The radiologist showed me. She's like, look, I can't tell how big it is. She was like going like this, like going, and she's like, it's hidden. It's like in the
really deep
tissue.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I can't tell if it's big. I can't tell if it's small. So then I went to see, my surgical oncologist, and she felt it, and she was like, I think it's around like 2 to 5 centimeters. Like they couldn't
wow,
tell.
Yeah.
They didn't know. So we did an MRI. MRI is actually what, told us.
Really?
How big it was, yeah.
I did not know that you could get an MRI of that.
Yeah, so MRI is probably the most accurate. Mm-hmm. So it showed you right there. Yeah, you seen that thing right there. The ultrasound, you see something's going on. Mammogram, something's in there. But the MRI, I have a picture of it. It's very round. But the problem was that usually the cancer looks like hands. So it's like a round ball with like little spikes coming out of it. Ugh. But mine was just a little ball. So that's why they couldn't figure out what it was.
And how far in were you? Like what stage?
So I was stage 2, invasive ductal carcinoma. So that means, so cancer typically starts in the nipple and the milk ducts. And then, if earlier stages, stage 0, stage 1, it's contained, but once it leaves there and goes into the tissue, it's invasive. So it actually invades your breast tissue. So it was invasive. It was hormone positive, meaning it's coming from my estrogen and progesterone. So yeah, that's the kind of hit.
Now, a lot of people are under the impression that you can't get breast cancer when you're young. They're like, oh, that's like an old woman thing.
Yeah.
How old were you when you got diagnosed?
I was 33 years old, and nobody in my family had it.
Yeah. And I know you have a friend, because you have a podcast called Talk Breasty to Me.
Yep.
And your friend, is she a survivor as well?
She's a survivor. Unfortunately, she was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer at 28 years old.
Wow.
Meaning, unfortunately, metastatic, there's no cure yet. We don't have a cure for that.
Oh my God.
So her cancer actually spread into her body. It spread into her liver. So they found a little spot, another cancerous tumor in her liver.
Oh my God.
So that's, when we do like fundraisers and we do those walks, like we're trying to raise money for research.
Yeah.
Because right now there's no cure for it. Some people live, a nice couple years. So,
Yeah.
The world record, I think, is like 30 years. So people can.
Mm-hmm.
She did a trial in Dana-Farber, which is a cancer center in Boston. And she's 3 years out from her diagnosis, and she has not had a reoccurrence. So,
Okay.
I'm hoping,
We're praying
for her that she just lives until she's 150.
Yeah, because you never know. Now, how long was your chemotherapy for?
Okay, so chemotherapy was last year from August to October. So August, September, October, like 3 months.
Okay.
3 months of chemotherapy.
And they were able to completely get rid of it in 3 months?
Yeah, so I did a lot more than chemo.
Okay.
So I did, altogether I had 8 surgeries.
Wow.
And then I have one coming up in next month. So basically, we did things a little bit different. So a lot of people, depending on your cancer, some people, if their tumor is really big, they'll get chemotherapy first to shrink it,
Okay.
and then they'll go in to do surgery and remove it. So I had very large breasts. So my plastic surgeon was like, "Hey, like to have the best results, we're gonna have to go in there and give you a reduction and a lift, and then we could take the tumor out, do chemo." And then we'll do the bilateral mastectomy. Do you know what a bilateral mastectomy is?
Getting rid of both of your breasts.
Yes, yeah. So that was always the end goal. But in order for us to have the most aesthetic after all those surgeries, we started with the lift, reduction. We did a lumpectomy, so we removed the tumor. Then, I don't know if you know much about fertility, but chemo actually can kill your eggs and, mess up your ovaries. Yeah. So I had to do IVF. So I had to go in there. I had a couple surgeries. I had to get like a cyst removed, and then they were able to remove a few eggs and freeze them. So a lot of women, that's what people don't understand, is that when you're young, there's a lot more steps to cancer. Because if you want to preserve your fertility, you have to do it immediately. Like there's no time, and that's like $20,000.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap, and you have to do it before chemo, because once you start chemo, your eggs, some people have babies after chemo.
Yeah.
But a lot of people like ruins their
I'm
reproductive
sure
system.
also like all the things that get put into you, that's not good to when you have a baby after. It's like, that's really hard. How was having chemo like mentally, physically on you?
So chemo was interesting for me.
Yeah.
I obviously lost my hair right away.
That's horrible. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I shaved it first just because I was told that like it starts to come out in clumps and it'll hurt. So I was like, you know what? I wanted to kick its ass. So I was like, it's not taking my hair from me. I'm going to take my own hair.
Yeah.
So I shaved it. After my first treatment, I just shaved it. After I shaved it, it started coming out like in like little tiny hairs.
Yeah.
So I was taking like lint rollers and just like taking it all off. But I was bald, like bald, like a baby bald, like little tiny hairs. But chemo hit me a little different than it would a normal person.
Yeah.
So a normal person would be like really sick, like nauseous, vomiting, diarrhea, all that. I was like opposite. I would have the flu. Like I would get like a high fever, chills, aches and pains. And my doctor was like, that's not very common. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, the nausea is what, makes them. I didn't really have nausea. I did have it. I had a little bit of all the side effects. But for me, after I would do chemo, 24 hours later, I was insanely sick. And when you do chemo, once you have a fever, you have to get admitted to the hospital.
Really?
Yeah, so I was admitted a couple times because when you're on chemo and you have a fever, that is really bad because obviously your body's going through something really serious.
Fighting something.
It's fighting something, and then the chemo brings your entire immune system down, so they want to be in their eyes just in case something bad happens.
Oh my God.
So the first couple times I had chemo, I had high fevers like 103. So
that's really high.
Yeah, I was admitted, but then after a while, once you realize, okay, you keep a journal. Every time you have a side effect, you write it down.
Yeah.
So because every time you do chemo, it's usually the same thing. So I realized after 24 hours, I was getting a fever. So then me and my doctor decided, okay, before 24 hours, let's do like a high dose Tylenol.
That's smart.
So I didn't have to get admitted to the hospital.
Yeah.
If I hit like 101, okay, he wanted me to go. But if I was at like 100, I was still okay.
Yeah.
So I would do chemo, and then after a couple of hours, start taking Tylenol.
Yeah.
And I would feel the fever coming, and I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. But it would be there, but it was a little bit better, you know.
Yeah.
Chills were a little bit less. But yeah, losing the hair, I lost all my eyelashes. Oh, I had about like 10 lashes left. But my lash girl was amazing. She would put like 20 lashes on one, so I never looked cancer.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
She was able to do that? That's amazing.
She would like bridge them, like take like one across, and she made like, yeah, it was crazy. I don't know how she did it, but God bless her, because I had
that is
microblading.
phenomenal, honestly.
Yeah. Fluffy lashes. And then her name's Aurelie. And then my girl Megan at Maybell Beauty Bar, she did my microblading.
Yeah.
So, and I had bomb wigs, Tammy Benz wigs.
Yeah.
Amazing. And this is a wig, actually. I still don't have it.
I remember when I met you. We were doing like this like cowgirl day, and you had on a wig and you had on a hat, and I did not know that you had on a wig at all, like at all. And you told me that you had on a wig, and I was like, what? And you were like, yeah. And you were just trying to show me, and I was like, oh my God. Like even now, like it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
The way that they do things nowadays, like first of all, your hair looks beautiful.
Thank you.
And
Thanks, Tammy.
Tammy.
Benz.
Hey girl.
Hey, thanks for the good wigs.
I remember, and when you were telling me, you were like, yeah, you know, you were like, I got my boobs done. This is a wig. And I was just like so shook. And I was already with you at that point for like, what, 3 or 4 hours? I was like, oh my God. And then I was just heartbroken when I heard your story. But I mean, just meeting you, like, you wouldn't just automatically know that you were wearing a wig.
Yeah.
Especially when you wore a cowgirl hat. Like, and, like, in Miami also, like, so many girls wear, hair extensions that, like, you, like, just don't, like, you're not thinking, like, oh, like, that's, like, hair extensions or a wig. It's just, like, so you're used to that.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not gonna lie, like, living in Miami was traumatizing during treatment because, everyone is so beautiful. And, like, at the time, like, behind closed doors, and I would take the wig off, the lashes and everything, I looked like a fucking potato, like a Mrs. Potato Head, like it was like a cross between a gremlin, or no, Schmeagol and Mrs. Potato Head had a kid.
So cool, you're so Miss Potato. That makes me sad.
No, it's literally fine. I'll show you a picture when we get off of this thing. But yeah, so basically, like, I was so insecure walking around the streets because, like, I always wanted to put my lashes on, always wanted to put my wig on, but I was so uncomfortable all the time, especially in 90-degree weather. But I hid it as best as I could, like.
And you didn't have any, like, signs to having breast cancer, like, before? Like, nothing would have...
Nothing, no, I felt fine. If you drew my blood, I was healthy on paper.
That is so crazy.
Now, one thing that I noticed that I don't, like... I had very large breasts, so the one that had the tumor, I started noticing was getting bigger.
Okay.
And the areola was getting a little bit bigger as well.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was a sign. It could be a sign of cancer, or just I'm getting older. My boobs, gravity's starting to take over, and no one's really that perfect. But I did notice that. And after learning about breast cancer and stuff, that could be a sign of cancer. So people always say, oh, it's just a lump in the breast that will detect cancer. That's not the case. Mm-hmm. If you have puckering, if you have nipple discharge, if you have an indent, some people don't even have lumps. Some people have like itches or something like in their armpit. Mm-hmm. Pain can be a sign of cancer. So it's not just a lump. There are so many different things.
There's a lot of the different things. That is so scary. I honestly give you so much credit for going through all this. And now you're recovering. And has your hair been like slowly growing back? Like,
yeah, it's
like how long? Oh wow!
Yeah. So it's like a couple inches now. Yeah,
you must be so happy.
I know. And this is permanently on my hair. So like my girl, what she does is she actually braids my hair underneath it.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a weave. Like it's like a weave. Yeah. So it's sewed in.
Yeah.
So I tap it whenever.
Oh my God.
Itchy. But so like when I work out, I go out, like I don't want to worry about like dancing because you know me, I'm crazy. I don't want to wear
Yeah.
falling out. So I was like, all right, so now it's just like permanently in my head.
No, that's good. I didn't even know that people could do that.
Yeah, it's human hair.
Yeah.
So it's like I wash it with Olaplex just like anybody else.
That's great.
Use the same products as like your hair.
Yeah. It's just like you could curl it, you could straighten it, whatever you want.
Yeah.
So tell me, what advice would you give someone who is currently going through what you went through?
So the biggest advice I would get is you have to keep your mental. The mental, once you lose your mental, you're going to lose everything. I did a lot of dark humor, a lot of jokes.
That's me when I'm going through something bad. I try to like laugh at it because like that's the only way I could get through something.
That's my mom. I remember her being like, "Are you insane?"
Yeah, how's
like,
your parents like?
Oh my gosh, that was like the worst part telling them. I didn't know what to do. The first thing I was like, "What do I do?" And at the time, I was seeing somebody like I rekindled a flame, so I called him first, and I was like, because I didn't know what to do. Like, who do I tell? Do I call my parents? Do I go to their house to tell them? Like,
yeah,
what's the right thing to do? A phone call or in person? So I called my brother. He was the first one that I called. And he's a firefighter, so he deals with a lot of stuff like this. I told him, and he's like, calm down. He's like, let's call them first. So I called my mom, and I just remember her just freaking out. And I was I'm driving to
especially as a woman,
driving to you right now. It takes me like an hour to get there to prepare my dad, because I know my dad can get really emotional.
Yeah.
He doesn't enjoy. He's an Italian New Yorker, will hide emotions, but like I know when it comes to me, like I'm the first,
you're his daughter.
the princess, like so I didn't want to tell him in person. I wanted her to like tell him and prepare him.
Yeah.
So it was really emotional. But I kind of was like, all right, you know what? I got to put on the survivor mode, and, don't let anybody see that like I am like emotional or I'm scared or anything, because if I did that, everybody else is going to be scared.
It's almost like a baby. Like when you show that you're panicking, like they start to panic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And nobody in my family has cancer. So I'm like the first one. So I had to do like a lot of research, and I didn't want them, I didn't have a diagnosis. They don't tell you your diagnosis right away.
Yeah.
That you have to wait a couple of days to get more answers. And then once they remove your tumor and they sent it off to the labs, that's when has it spread? Am I going to die? Am I stage 4? So throughout that time, you don't know. All they tell you is you have cancer.
And how long between when they told you have cancer and like you found out your stage? Like how long?
We did things really quick. So I would say a couple weeks. 2 to 3 weeks.
That's still a long time.
It's still, yeah.
I feel like that would be the longest, like 2 or 3 weeks of my entire life.
Because I was diagnosed, it might have been a month. I was diagnosed May, and my first surgery was in June. End of June. So about a month.
Oh no.
So that's the word. That was like the one thing you're waiting for after you get the surgery. They can't tell you right away because pathology takes a while.
Yeah.
So I remember getting that phone call and my doctor being like, "I have great news. Like it did not spread." So
that's the blessing.
Number one, when it spreads, that's when things get messy.
Yeah.
When it travels into your lymph nodes, because they remove lymph nodes. So I had 9 lymph nodes removed.
Wow.
Yeah. When it travels down your lymph nodes, that's when it goes into your bloodstream and then travels all over. And that's when it's a bad diagnosis.
And you know what's so crazy? You had stage 2. It didn't spread, which sounds like, okay, like, yeah, it's really tough, but like you had a better experience, and you still had to get your breasts removed. Yeah. You had, what was it? Didn't you have like a hysterectomy or something like that? Like you had something.
It's a lot. Best case scenario would be stage 0 or stage 1. Stage 2 is a little bit more serious because it didn't spread, but the tumor is considered large.
Yeah.
So they did something called an OncoScore test. So they take this test, they take your tumor and they test it to see the chance that it's going to reoccur, that you're going to have cancer again in the next, I think it's like the next 9 years. Yeah. They did all the tests and mine was really high. Yeah. So the chance for a reoccurrence was extremely high. So they were like, you have a choice. We can do the full, chemo, mastectomy, all that for preventative measures because your chance of having cancer again is fairly high. Or, you can just move on. And obviously I choose I want it to be really aggressive because I've heard horror stories of people not being aggressive and then it coming back in 5-6 years and it's stage 4 and they die. Yeah.
I'm hearing girls that they find out that they have that gene or whatever, and they're just going on and removing their breasts and people are criticizing them for it. And I'm like, you know, if you know that you have a lot of history of cancer and you have that gene or whatever it is, like, yeah, like, I mean, you can get breast implants, you know, it's like you want to live.
Exactly. I agree with you. Well, I'll get into that after. The BRCA gene, it's called BRCA1 and BRCA2. That gene is hereditary. It comes from your family line, and it gives you a really high. I have a friend who had a 80% chance of getting breast cancer and 60% chance of ovarian cancer. So she had her breast removed really young and ovaries. Now, the kind of cancer that I had was very similar to something like that. It was called hormone positive. So hormone positive breast cancer, where does it come from? First of all, where does estrogen come from? Your ovaries, right?
Yeah.
So most of your estrogen's coming from your ovaries. And because I'm so young and because we're so young, your estrogen, your hormones are hey, let's have babies. You want this, you want that.
They're higher.
Very high compared to a woman who's in their 40s or 50s or 60s who gets diagnosed. A woman like our mom's age in their 50s and 60s, 70s, when they get diagnosed, they're already in menopause. So their hormones are already very low.
Yeah.
So they don't have to basically fight their own bodies to get rid of estrogen or the progesterone because they're kind of already lower.
Yeah.
For women like our age, because how old are you again?
I'm 29.
Okay, so you're still a baby. So a woman like our age, because a lot of my breast cancer friends are your age, our hormones are raging.
Yeah.
So how the hell are you going to cut off the supply of estrogen, which is causing your cancer? We have to put you in menopause.
Yeah.
So, also, there's other ways that estrogen comes into your body. Alcohol. Alcohol is a huge estrogen increaser. If you drink alcohol and then are hungover the next day and draw your blood, your estrogen's going to be sky high.
Luckily, I don't drink alcohol.
There you go. There you go. How else can you get estrogen in your body? Fat.
Okay.
Obesity. What you eat. So foods that are high in estrogen could be like deli meat, which is like processed meat.
What about milk? Would that be...
It depends. So I drink, I have this whole health thing that I do, but almond milk, organic almond milk, with like, that's just made with water, almonds, and salt is okay.
Okay.
But yeah, hormones are raised from like hormone injected types of milks and meats. So your meat, you have to be careful what you're eating because if you eat, the Walmart or the Publix brand meat, you could be pumping yourself with toxic ingredients, which can increase your estrogen.
Yeah.
So that's my type of cancer. So that's estrogen positive cancer. So that's why I watch what I eat. I don't drink alcohol. I'm in menopause. I'm in a chemically induced menopause.
Oh my God.
So I take medication every day. And then I also get a giant needle. It's like this big and it's fat. And it goes into my belly once a month. Yeah. So it's called anastrozole and Zoladex. So that's to keep me in menopause. When it comes to removing the ovaries, a lot of women who maybe are scared of needles or they don't want that injection or the side effects for some women our age for menopause are horrible. Like I have friends who have anxiety, depression, weight gain.
Yeah.
Weight gain is huge.
Well, yeah. I mean, most women, like when they're going through menopause at an older age, like they gain weight. Like, so imagine like you're young, you're going through menopause, like you get the same symptoms. You're just young.
And that's the thing. Like the only reason why I have not gained all the weight is because I've been so strict. Like I have PTSD.
I could only imagine.
So like for me, every time I eat something like not good or toxic, I feel like I'm feeding the cancer again.
Yeah.
And that's how it is with all my friends. But so I refuse to eat bad. Like I don't not eat. I eat all meals.
Of course,
snacks.
You can eat and be healthy.
Yeah.
Like people think like, oh, people that eat healthy, they don't eat. Like that's not true.
Yeah.
Like you can eat healthy and you're still eating.
Exactly. I started a health page called Krystal's Clean Kitchen. So I give people advice, not just cancer patients, anybody, because ever since my diagnosis, a lot of people have been coming to me for advice. So I created this page because they're like, oh, is this good? Is this good? Is this good? So now every day I post. Like today I posted, my favorite chocolate chips. Chocolate chips are so bad for you. They have like 100 ingredients. But I found these organic chocolate chips that are there's no sugar or anything like that. They're only flavored through dates, the fruit dates.
Yeah.
And they've been sold out in Whole Foods for like ever. So I finally got like 2 bags of that and I posted on my Instagram, hey guys, this is the chocolate you should be using.
Yeah, no, that's actually really amazing information to know, like as a woman. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I would assume probably like, could men get breast cancer?
Yes. Men do get breast cancer too. I know a couple men who have had breast cancer.
Wow.
it's not as common.
Yeah.
But men also have to get checked. And, breast cancer can also come from like obesity too, because the fat cells are creating, the environment where the cancer wants to be.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of, doctors will say: keep your weight down, eat healthy, exercise. Exercise is also key, because exercise, it creates like oxidation, and it can fight cancer cells too. But there's other types of breast cancer too. So it's not just the kind that I have. There are other kinds. There's a kind called triple negative, where they don't know where it's coming from. Triple negative means
scary.
Yeah, and that's the scary kind of cancer to have, because they don't know how to treat it.
It's like trial and error. Like
Exactly. That's what they do. So what they do is they put them in chemo, and they'll give them a bunch of different cocktails, and then they'll keep their tumor in, and then they'll do a couple different cocktails, and then they'll do the mammogram or ultrasound and see, okay, is it shrinking? Okay, it's not shrinking. That means this chemo is not working. Let's try this chemo. So triple negative is very dangerous. So when you have triple negative, it's not coming from your hormones. It's not coming from your body. They just don't know. There's no answers. So triple negative is harder to fight, because there's no one cure for all. For hormone positive cancer like mine, we can target, the hormone. So like,
you at least know where it's coming from.
Exactly. So like, they give us chemo, which kills all of our cancer cells, and then we're targeting our ovaries, and we're eating different. We're, doing this. Triple negative patients, I mean, they're told to do the same thing, eat healthy, exercise, but there's no target where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And then there's a cancer called HER2 positive.
Okay.
That is coming from a certain protein in the body too. So
Jeez.
There's all different types of breast cancer.
That's so terrible.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I mean, now that you are getting you are better, but like there's still a recovery after recovering. I could only imagine the aftermath that you have been through and everything, and what it's left you with. Like, now you're growing your hair, the financial difficulties. Like, are you working with any fundraising and stuff to help others? And who has helped you? Like, anyone that you recommend to give a shout out to that other people could work with that would be helpful?
Of course, yeah. So basically, I took a negative and made it into a positive, right? So this experience obviously was traumatizing. It took about a year for everything, and I'm still going through treatment, and I have more surgeries, but they're cosmetic now. But the community, we laugh about it. We're always like, it's like the best, worst community to be a part of. The breast cancer, ovarian cancer community, especially in Miami, is amazing.
Yeah.
These women, they took me under their wing, because I had my cousin's mom. She had breast cancer 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So she gave me some advice, but treatment is so different these days. Back in the day, you had to remove your nipples. Everyone got their nipples removed. It depends. Everybody's different now. A lot of women still have to get their nipples removed, but there are some plastic surgeons that are able to save them. I was able to, save my nipples.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But the organizations that have helped me the most is the 305 Pink Pack. So they helped me a lot, because I, was not getting paid when I was off for FMLA. And I couldn't drive and stuff. They provided me with Ubers. They really helped me. They would give me grocery gift cards, stuff I needed for chemo and stuff like that. And then Braca Strong, they also sent me a kit for, I had a bilateral mastectomy, and you need a bunch of different, clothing and pillows and all this stuff. They helped me with a pre-mastectomy kit. And then
that's actually really sweet.
Yeah. Also on TikTok, I went on TikTok and Instagram. I met so many girls in the area from ages in their 20s to 70s.
Yeah.
So I created a group, and I started talking to nonprofits. There's so many different things going on in Miami.
Yeah.
So I started my own podcast too. So I have my doctor sends a lot of their patients to me and my podcast partner.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So, and they're every age. I've even helped a woman who was 19 years old. She had breast cancer. 19 in college. She lives in Arkansas, and she found me.
Gotta be kidding me.
She found me on TikTok. And my TikTok, I have a pretty big platform on there. I'm very open, very honest, showing the bald head, everything.
Yeah. That's what people love. They love honesty and authenticity.
she found me and she was like, help me. And I walked her through everything, her mastectomy, you know.
God, at that young age, she had to get a mastectomy.
She had to leave college, you know.
That is so horrible.
And she's doing so well now. She's in remission. I mean, oh my God, God bless. She's like, I feel like she's like my little sister.
Yeah.
But yeah, so women come to us. I've helped hundreds of women, like just kind of, just someone for them to talk to, because it's hard to, like, you know, if you were my best friend at the time, like I can tell you how I'm feeling, but you don't know what I'm going through. So it's hard. And I feel like I started like going to my cancer friends, like, because I
can't say that I know how you feel. Like, I might, like, I feel horrible for you, but I've never had cancer, thank God. Like, I can't, it would be insulting if I said, oh, I know how you feel. Like, no, I don't.
And that's the thing, like, we call them pink sisters or breasties, right? So I created a community everywhere from New York. I've breasties in New York, Texas, California, all over Florida. Some of them flew in a couple weeks ago for my birthday. So, like, we never met in person. We were TikTok friends, Instagram friends, social media friends.
So cute.
Right?
Yeah.
I went to New York. I met two of them, too, like, when I was on vacation. So, like, they're all over. And this weekend on Saturday, I'm chartering a yacht for just the celebration of life. One of my breasties is coming down from New York. She's newly divorced, so her story's so messed up. She was in the process of a divorce. While she was getting divorced, she got cancer. She's like, she was at the time 31, I think.
Oh my God,
going
so young.
Through treatment. She has a son at the time. He was 2 or 3. Mom was taking care of her. Mom passes away in the middle of chemo. So my poor friend, like, had the worst cards dealt to her.
Yeah, no, that's worst. I can't even imagine. Like, you have cancer, you're going through a divorce, and your mom passes away. Like,
horrible.
No.
So she is coming up on her 1-year cancerversary, and we have like the same cancerversary basically. So she's coming down, we're celebrating life, and I was like, let's throw a party for all survivors.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a couple survivors that I'm close with, and some women are still going through treatment, and we're just gonna have a yacht party on Saturday.
Good for you guys.
So I try to have like community events. For my birthday, I invited all the breasties to brunch. We did brunch in Fort Lauderdale.
That is so cute.
It's like, you know, and there's some girls that are just starting treatment, so they need someone. They need
support. Yeah. Like that, it's hard to find support through that. And even like if you get support, like you feel alone sometimes, you know, like I could only imagine like, no. Well, you need people that know what you're going through.
That was the thing. When I got diagnosed, I felt like I didn't know what to do. The way I felt was so freaking scared, but I didn't really have anyone to turn to. I knew a couple people in my life that has had it, but you know, I was like, what do I do? So when I turned to social media, so I reached out to a couple girls and they helped me. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Moving forward, I never want someone to feel sad, scared, you know, not like anxiety, don't know where to go. I want them to go on TikTok, breast cancer, and find me, Instagram. And they do. If I show you my inbox right now, I talk to women all freaking day.
And what are some of the things that you talk about on your Talk Breasty to Me podcast?
Everything. We talk about literally anything from cancer to IVF. So my podcast partner just had a baby through IVF because, you know, she can't have her own.
Yeah.
So we talk about that process. I had my fitness trainer on there who has dealt with cancer patients before. I've had my doctors, my oncologist, my surgical oncologist came on.
Yeah.
So it sucks how it happened, but I finally found my life's purpose, and that's what I want to do, like, for the rest of my life. Like, I just want to keep helping cancer patients, being a support for them. Also an inspiration too, because, you know, I've had a lot of women who have reached out and been like, oh my gosh, I've seen all these TikToks, it looks so bad and this, and I'm like, listen, it's not fun, but keep your mind straight, you know, keep yourself strong and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
They'll call me like 6-7 months later and be like, wow, it was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. You know, it sucks, but it wasn't like a lot of people on TikTok. And listen, there are some cancers that are way worse, but some women, you know, make it really emotional and they're crying on their TikToks and stuff. But I try to hide that as much as I could just to show positivity. And you know, I think it helps a lot of women. Like, even like now I post like, hey guys, like, I'm a bathing suit, and they see, like, you know, the girls.
Your boobs look amazing.
Yeah, and they're like, wait, that's what it can look like? I'm like, yes, you're not going to be, some people end up botched. You got to choose the right plastic surgeon. I help with that too. So.
Yeah, like, you could recommend a plastic surgeon.
Exactly.
Years, like, that's the good thing. And now, I know I asked this before, but like, we kind of got like sidetracked. What advice would you give to someone who is currently going through it? I mean, you said like good mental health, but like, is there anything else that you would recommend other than that?
Get off social media. minus talking to me, but social media is going to scare you. It scared me. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, because when you Google breast cancer, or not Google, when you on TikTok, Instagram, you look it up, you just see botched mastectomies, bald people crying, you know, and yes, that is the reality of a cancer patient. But there's beauty to it too.
Yeah.
It's not all negative.
You need to probably get into like some mindful stuff like yoga.
Yeah.
Like meditating, like anything that just makes you feel more relaxed, because that's probably got to be like so exhausting. And I just want to say, low key, I could see you maybe like having your own little like fundraising thing, like organization someday.
Yeah.
I know like this is just the beginning for you with all of this, but you have done absolutely amazing, and you should be so proud of yourself.
I appreciate it.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Could you please give your Instagram and your podcast Instagram and all that stuff so that people could follow and watch you?
Of course. Okay, so first I want to give a piece of advice for those who are not diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Early detection is key. Even if you're 19 years old, you need to do self-exams. Okay?
Yeah, because I found, well, I didn't find it. My doctor found a lump. I didn't even feel it. Like, I apparently have a lump. I don't feel it. I have 2 of them. I could feel all the time. I don't feel it. I don't know why. And when he found it, he was like, oh, like he didn't even tell me in person. They emailed me and said, you need to go to a radiologist to get an ultrasound. And so I called them like freaking out, like, you found a lump? And they're like, oh yeah, it's probably nothing, blah, blah, blah. And they did an ultrasound and they said like it was nothing, which thank God. But like you said, you had done that and they said that it was nothing, and it's always good to double check with someone else.
Are you going for like re-examined?
I think that I should look at an MRI. Because, I mean, you said that the mammogram is probably like not the best thing.
Well, so insurance, they're not going to do an MRI unless there's something really suspicious. So if you can go to your doctor and get a referral for a mammogram, especially with your family history, right? Your family history?
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually have a cousin that she had to get, I believe, a mastectomy because she's like in her 30s and she had breast cancer.
Yeah. So being with your family history, I think that you need to, like, this week schedule. I'm not trying to scare you, but this
I know
the reality of, you know, the world that we live in.
Yeah.
Because early detection is key.
Mm-hmm.
If you find this early, it's not deadly. This is treatable. You can go into remission.
Yeah.
The people that unfortunately pass or are diagnosed with the end, you know, stage 4 metastatic, sometimes the signs are there and they don't realize.
Yeah.
So self-breast exams are very important because there's a high percentage of women who find their own lumps.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing your own exam and you don't feel it, lay down, let your breast tissue go down, and then you can feel it more.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt mine more. When you lay down, you feel it's right there. It was right there. But I would say once every first of the month. So we say feel it on the first. Every month on the first, in the shower, take like some soap or conditioner and just go from your armpits. Some cancers only found in the armpits. Like my podcast partner, she didn't have a lump in her breast. She had a pain in her armpit.
And do they still consider that breast cancer?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So make sure you feel all your lymph nodes all down, around, under the nipple, you know. Any changes. I don't care if it's a little bit of discharge, discoloration.
What color is the discharge typically?
Different for everybody.
Okay.
It could be white, yellow. I have friends that bloody discharge.
Okay.
Dimpling. If it's a dimple going in, if your skin looks rough, kind of like an orange peel, any changes, any kind of changes, you have to report it. If you see something, say something. Because if you earlier you catch it, the better you are. Some people don't need mastectomy. Some people don't need chemo. Not everybody needs chemo. If you're stage 0, stage 1, chances are you might not need chemo. Some people opt to do it. But the earlier, the better. So when I saw that my right breast was getting a little bit bigger, in my mind, it was just gravity. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Chances are I had the cancer. I just was. My doctors don't tell you. They only tell you to look for lumps and that's it.
Yeah, like sometimes you could even like get your period and just from that, like your boobs swell and they get bigger and smaller, and like you just don't think anything of it.
Exactly. One of my friends caught her cancer. She had an itchy nipple. No lump, nothing, itchy nipple. That's how they found hers. And then there are lumps, but they're behind like the chest wall where you can't see it until you get a mastectomy and they scoop it all out. That's what a mastectomy is.
Yeah.
They scoop it out. They scoop all your breast tissue. So I have no breast tissue. This is just an implant in my skin.
Yeah.
And we don't just, not everybody just gets boob jobs right away. We have to get these hard expanders put in. So basically they removed all your breast tissue and they give you these expanders, and it looks like an empty breast implant. And then every 2 weeks you go in and they put a needle in your breast and they expand you. They put saline. So they expand your chest, because think about it. When you have no tissue, you're just a chest.
Yeah.
A nipple, basically.
Yeah.
So they have to kind of tame your skin.
Yeah.
To put an implant in.
Yeah.
So a lot of women have to do that. Some women just go flat and they don't want to deal with it.
They just don't care.
I had a staph infection and stuff from it. It's
really,
infections are really common in breast cancer patients. Yeah.
Like you had a staph infection before you got the breast implants or after?
After the expanders. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically they put these expanders in, they fill you for like 3 months, and then it's nice hard rock on your chest, and then they go in and they take those out and put an implant in. So by the 3 months, your skin's kind of stretched out.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of levels to it. And then I had a giant hematoma. It looked like a big like melon hanging out.
What is
my
a
chest.
hematoma?
It's called a hematoma. It's like a big like a blood vessel like popped and just like it came out. Like I'll show you pictures after, but it looked like a melon on top of my chest. So I had to go back in for emergency surgery. Then a few weeks later, I was on antibiotics for like 4 months.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and then I had these 4 drains coming out of you. So they have these like you ever see the girls that have the BBLs? And
I was literally just thinking of that. Stop.
Balls,
I just didn't want to say. I was like, oh my god, like the girls who get the BBLs.
Yeah.
They have like the draining things.
Drains, yeah. I had them. You're only supposed to have them for like 2 weeks. I had them for like 4 months because I just kept getting infections. And the infection, you would see it coming out of the drains. It was like the staph infection was like just so gross and clumpy, and so I had to go back in for another. I was hospitalized for a week for that. Like, so it's a process. Everything took about a year, and my diagnosis was May of 2023, and I had one more surgery, so it'll be like a year and a half it took for everything.
Wow, so it really wasn't that long ago.
No, last summer.
That's insanity.
Yeah. Yeah, but I did everything quick. So like I was like, I don't want this. I don't want to waste time.
Yeah. No,
so a lot of people like spread out like their surgeries and their implants and the chemo, but I did everything quick.
You wanted to kick its ass.
Surgery, IVF, chemo. By the time I got after like my first surgery, my doctor's like, okay, let's get ready for IVF. I go, I already did it last week. He's like, what? I'm like, I want it all over with.
Yeah.
So I did it. He's like,
I give you so much credit.
Okay.
I'm such a wimp when it comes to like anything like surgeries, like blood. I don't know how. I mean, you have to because you're like in survival mode.
Yeah.
But like I give you so much credit for going through all that stuff. Like,
yeah, I was like that. Needles, I would like pass out and freak out. But when you're in survivor mode, you have no choice.
Yeah.
So when you hear like cancer patients get picked and pried, like that's the truth. Like if I show you my camera roll, my veins were gone, and you can only get blood drawn and like things done on one side because wherever the lymph nodes are removed, the lymph nodes, you're not allowed to get blood drawn. Otherwise, you can get lymphedema, which is like a big fat arm that like comes out to here and it doesn't go away.
Oh, no.
So they had to draw blood from like in here over here. Like they had to like do ultrasounds to find veins to use.
They could because their veins dried out.
They were just like used way too much in a short period of time.
Yeah.
So scar tissue was like,
ow. I just put up this garden wall and just fell on my head. That's funny. Oh my god. Guys, don't mind me. My garden wall just fell down. I literally just installed it today and it just fell on my head in the middle of us talking. I almost just died. No, actually, I feel really bad saying that after what you literally...
Oh my god, is it too soon? No. I'm like so dark humor, it's disgusting.
I love dark humor.
It's so bad. Like I posted something the other day and like some people messaged me like, hey, just trying to look out for you, but like this is kind of like messed up. I'm like, I'm a Cancer patient. I can say whatever I want.
I love dark humor. This stupid thing just fell on my freaking head.
For Halloween last year, I was Mr. Clean. Did you ever see those pictures?
No, I didn't see
I have to show you.
Oh my God.
I dressed up as Mr. Clean because I had the bald head. So I was literally the best costume ever. And that people were like, what is wrong with you?
You posted on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I did like a dance, and I was like cleaning with the Mr. Clean gloves, and like, yeah, I did.
People must have been like dying.
Oh yeah, I was so ugly, but like I like did it anyway.
No, but it's good like when you embrace like, you know, like that's like the kind of stuff I do. Like I've been through some like terrible situations and like I laugh at it now, but back then obviously like I didn't find it funny. But like now that's like how I get through things. Like I just laugh at them. Because it's like, what else are you gonna do? You're just gonna like sit and like cry. It's like you might as well just like make some sort of humor out of it.
Like something during chemo, like I would like be like twerking and stuff like that. Like I literally had so much fun in chemo, and like people are like, what the fuck? Everyone's like, I'm one of the youngest patients there.
Yeah.
Everyone's like dying in the chemo rooms, or like sick, like taking their chemo. And you have me in like my big pink outfits, like twerking, doing TikToks, and my sister and my gay friends all came with me, and like yeah, it was we had to, I think it was illegal to have that much fun in chemo.
I'm dead.
It was bad. Yeah.
No, that's iconic though. Like honestly, you should be so proud of yourself for like everything. Like I wish that I knew you back then.
Me too.
I would have went in and partied with you.
Like I just remember being like, oh, these poor old people, and they're probably like, what is wrong? I'm like giggling.
They're
My
literally
sister-
like just laying there like and like you're like
I'm like, hey nurse, I'm like, can my sister push me on the IV pole down the hallway for a TikTok? And they're like, no, but we're all going to the bathroom for the next 3 minutes. So if something happens, like we're not going to see anything. Like, because they just try to make the best of it, but like,
because like they don't want to tell you no, but like you're not supposed to do it. So it's like
they're like, no, she's fun. But I mean. And all like, you know, all jokes aside, it's some crazy shit. Cancer's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's hard. I mean, like I've never been through it. I've known many people who have been through it. And just watching someone go through it is like terrible. Never mind, I can't even imagine actually dealing with it. Like
I feel like people aren't taking their health like and like fitness and like just like overall mental being, they don't take it that serious until something bad happens.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I want to spread awareness, because I'm not, you know, some cancers I'm sure are just like bad luck, right? But only 10% of cancer is hereditary.
Yeah.
90%, where is it coming from? The environment.
Probably food, air, like
drinks, alcohol, everything. So if I can help one person in the world prevent cancer, I'm going to do it.
And that's amazing. That's why I love what you do. And that's why I find you so inspiring.
Thanks, girl.
I'm serious. Like, I don't think I mean, I'm sure there's like so many things. Maybe it's just like not on my For You page or whatever. But like, I have never seen someone with like such a dedicated like social media to like podcasts, Instagram, food, like all that kind of stuff. Like, I love it. I seriously, like, I love it. Because that's not just tailored to people who do have cancer. It's tailored to people who want to prevent it too, that don't know anything about it. And like me, I have a family history of cancer, stomach cancer, breast cancer, brain tumors, like all that kind of stuff. Like basically almost any kind of cancer. I mean, let's face it. And, you know, I don't know how to prevent it that well. Like I know like there's like hormones and things and like there's like all sorts of chemicals and stuff, but like you're pretty much an expert at this.
I'll help you after here.
So to just like have a platform that is constantly like someone who researches it and knows it inside and out, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
And to have people that like doctors come on and other people who experience it and all that stuff, like that's amazing, you know?
Thanks. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I learned so much. It's not that I regret my choices in my past, because I had a fucking great life and I had so much fun. But I do wish 10 years ago I was a little more health conscious. I wish I didn't drink as much alcohol. I wish I didn't eat Big Macs every weekend at 5 a.m. on Saturdays. Like, you know, there are things that I've done in my life. I've never done drugs or anything. I never smoked cigarettes, but I was on birth control, so I think that also could be a you know factor in this cancer thing.
And that's something that probably most people don't even think of. I would have never even thought of that.
Because it's the synthetic hormones and all that BS going into your body. Combination of drinking alcohol, combination of I was eating whatever I wanted. Listen, I've been maintained 120, 125 pounds my entire life. I'm 5'3". I was never by any means obese, but, you know, I did not work out. I didn't work out. I wasn't fit. I ate whatever I wanted to because I never was fat, you know?
Yeah. And like when you're skinny, people tell you need to eat. You need to eat more. Eat like fattening things. And so you just eat and you don't realize like how unhealthy it actually is for you. Even though like you know it's unhealthy, but you don't think like this could give me cancer.
Yeah.
Or like diabetes or like all these different diseases that are so terrible.
It's something basic like brownies, right? If you go to the store and you go get your little Debbie brownies, whatever they are, right? The ingredient list looks like this.
Yeah.
There's 40 ingredients, 30 grams of sugar, you know, all that BS. I make brownies that taste just like regular brownies with cocoa powder, bananas, and an egg.
And it probably tastes exactly the same.
Amazing. It tastes so good.
And it's literally just pretty much like organic. Like it's just brownies.
It tastes really good.
Without all the chemicals.
Yeah. And so it's like, because cocoa powder, there's no sugar in it.
Yeah.
So you're literally, only sugar that's coming from the brownies is from the bananas.
Now I want brownies.
I'm going to give you the recipe. But like, that's the thing. When I found out I had cancer, I was so upset about, like, when I learned I had to change my diet. Because I'm Italian from New York. We eat macaroni, meatballs, chicken parm. That's our shit, right?
Yeah.
So once I started learning, I was depressed. Like, I lost so much weight when I first got diagnosed because I was so scared to eat. Because I thought every time I ate something, I was killing myself. Yeah. Or when the tumor was still inside me for that month, I felt like every time I ate, the tumor was getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
That's so awful to have that feeling.
It was the worst. But then once I started learning and doing research, it's actually so fun when I can find an alternative recipe. Like, I made lasagna the other day. I just posted it on my Instagram. But there was no mozzarella. In white people terms, mozzarella. I say mozzarella in Italian.
Yeah.
There was no mozzarella. There was cottage cheese instead of ricotta, however people say it. I say ricotta, but ricotta cheese. I didn't use jar sauce or anything. I like literally made my own tomato sauce. Like stuff like that. You don't realize cottage cheese is so much better than ricotta cheese. Yeah. I
hardly ever even eat cheese.
I use cashew mozzarella instead of regular cheese because cheese is not good. Inflammation is caused by cheese. I love cheese, but the lasagna was bomb. And I put organic turkey breast meat in it instead of sausage and all that.
I love turkey.
So that's what I'm saying.
Turkey burgers are so good.
You have to make sure that
I don't really like sausage.
So. When you eat the turkey burgers, you have to make sure it's organic turkey breast. If you go to the store, you're going to see, if you go to Whole Foods, there's going to be two things. They're going to be the cheaper. It's going to be both chopped turkey meat, right? You're going to see turkey meat and you're going to see turkey breast meat. This turkey meat is cheaper. Turkey breast is more expensive. Why?
Got the turkey breast.
Turkey breast because it's just the breast. The turkey meat, it could be the chicken or the turkey from top to bottom. The little feet, the little wiener.
Oh, no. The brains. No,
that's why it's more expensive, the turkey breast. And you want all organic because something else I learned recently, all your meat should be air chilled.
Okay.
If it's water chilled, like most meat is water chilled, that means it's sitting in chlorinated water and that's toxic.
You know everything.
But I never did until recently. I did so much research. Yeah. I follow a lot of like doctors on social media and stuff. But even Whole Foods, everyone thinks, oh, Whole Foods is good. No, you go to the buffet where they sell all that food, 95% of it is bad for you.
Yeah.
The only thing that's good was like the broccoli with like the oil. And like the rice with just rice with nothing.
Yeah, just plain rice.
Plain rice. Like nothing is good. Even like their chicken and stuff.
Yeah.
You have to be careful.
No, the chicken is probably like the worst. Like
it's you're gonna see all my chicken in my life has always been chilled. It's like 5% water something.
You have to get you should do?
What?
A cookbook.
Everybody keeps saying that.
I could so see it.
Everybody keeps saying that. So I started my
my
page.
God.
I have like 20 recipes on there so far. I'm going to keep like exploring. I create them all myself. Like I'll like, if I'm craving something, if I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking craving a big juicy burger, I'll just like Google like burgers and I'll look at ingredients and I'll say, oh, that looks good. That looks good. And I create my own ingredients in my head and then just like do it.
Please, at some point in your life, you need to like just make a cookbook.
I'm gonna. I want to write a book. I have so much I want to do, but I still have to work my full-time job, so I don't have that much time.
Yeah.
I have so many ideas, but I'm like, I still need my insurance through my job. So without insurance, what am I supposed to do?
I can only imagine. I mean, with like chemo and all that stuff, the medical bills, like,
Yeah.
I mean, just getting blood work. It's like, I remember I had to get blood work like a few months ago, and with my insurance, I had to pay like $40. I can't even imagine if you don't have an insurance.
Girl, one chemotherapy session, I think it's like $32K, and they pay $30. So like, I owe so much money to all these places.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How many chemo sessions did you have to go through?
So mine were dense dose. So I did 4 altogether. So they gave me really strong chemo. So I went every 3 weeks.
No wonder you were getting sick.
Yeah. So like I have a friend right now, she's going through chemo. She did like similar chemos to me, but she's doing it once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, it's a little bit at a time. So she's not, as bad, but they chose to do a lot at a time so I could just get it the frig over with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's wild.
Yeah. So every 3 weeks I would go in.
And you just had 4.
Yeah, 4. Yeah.
Jeez. And like while you were going through, like how long was it that you had to like sit there?
The first one was like 6 hours because like they have to like give you, they have to pump you in really slow because a lot of people are allergic to chemo. So
Really?
you can have an allergic reaction and they have to like call like the paramedics and stuff like that. And they have to give you certain medications. Yeah. So the first one they have to go really slow. Think about when the chemo comes in, the women are in like masks and gloves. Like it's toxic.
I know nothing about chemo.
Yeah. So
nothing.
chemo
I don't even know how it's administered. Like nothing.
Okay. So you see, I have a scar right here.
Okay, yeah.
So they give you surgery and they implant a port. It's like a big circle. It was like a robot, and then they inject you through that port.
Poor baby.
I know. Honestly, it sucked. I ended up in the ER from that surgery too. So some people will do it intravenously.
That's what I thought,
But
that you get an IV.
It blows your veins out. Like my friend, they blew out every single vein. They started doing chemo in her neck.
No.
Because they had no more veins to do. So chemo is so potent. So they would come in like the nurses that had like mask, gloves, because if they get it on them, like it's bad. So even like after I did chemo, no one was allowed to use the bathroom after me. So like my mom, she stayed with me. So I would use the bathroom. I would flush it twice, but then she had to wait like 20 minutes to actually use it because it's so potent.
That is wild.
So chemotherapy kills every fast moving cell in your body. So literally anything in your body.
I'm just like shook. I'm sorry. Like I'm just like staring at you, but I'm just like, what the? I didn't know anything about this. I just thought like, oh, like I figured like I've heard of like radiation and like the IVs and stuff, but like I didn't know like that people come in like all covered up and that. I mean, like it's serious. Like I knew that, but I didn't know like how serious it really was that like people can't even use a bathroom after you.
It's radioactive. Even like MRIs, if you ever have to get an MRI, they come in with they have to inject you with this stuff. It comes in a locked box. Like it's like serious, like radioactive. It can like really hurt you if you're using it
hell no.
wrong. Yeah.
No.
So my advice is, because there's a lot of cancer in your family, I think you need to start taking, preventative measures. You need to go to the doctor every 6 months. Check those lumps. My cousin, she has lumps and she just gets them removed just so they don't turn into cancer. Mm-hmm. But you need to start eating, watching what you eat. Toxic stuff. You work out, you're tiny. You don't drink alcohol, so that's a plus for you.
Yeah, I can't drink alcohol, so that's like a blessing.
Yeah. Anything that's toxic, even like don't drink tap water. Make sure you have filtered water. Mm-hmm. But I'm not trying to scare you.
No, you're not scaring me. It's honestly like amazing and informative.
I think that you should definitely make your doctors aware of your history. Everybody needs to know their history. And maybe you should even get genetic testing. Has anyone in your family had genetic testing?
I did a 23. I don't know like how you do the genetic testing, but I did the 23andMe, and I know that they could tell you like the what is that gene? The BRCA.
Yeah.
But I don't know like how good that would be. Like for the 23andMe, like how do you actually test for those things?
So you need to go. You have a primary doctor.
Yes.
Okay, so you need to bring this up to your primary doctor. Just say that you have a family history of breast cancer and cancer in general, and you want to move forward with genetic testing. See if your insurance will cover it. If there's any kind of like, the reason why I was able to do it is because like we had a reason. Like I had breast cancer.
Yeah.
But everybody needs to know what their history and their genetic mutations are, because if you have any genetic mutations, then you want to do preventative measures such as mastectomy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, everybody, you need to be aware of it, especially because multiple people in your family had it. Even if they didn't, like no one in my family has it and I still got it.
Yeah, anyone could get it.
Anybody can get it, but if you have the gene, you need to, do it. It's scary because they test you for like 90 genes. So I was tested for like lung cancer, brain cancer, all that.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it tells you like your risk factors, and it's not always so accurate, but I didn't have any mutations, so that just shows another reason how cancer can happen to anybody.
And how do they do that? Is it like through blood work?
Yeah, it's blood. So they'll draw your blood and then they'll send it out. It takes a while. It took I think a month and a half to come back. And then the report, I mean, it's just one of the scariest reports, because if you have like, let's say like you test positive for, let's say lung cancer, that means like you're high risk for lung cancer. That means your family, like your parents, like your siblings possibly, like, so it's kind of scary. It kind of like reads into the future a little bit.
Yeah.
But even people who have the genetic mutations, like they don't always get cancer. It's just their risk is just so darn high.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to look into that, because, I've heard of people doing it through like the 23andMe and stuff, but I didn't know that you can also like look into getting like the lung cancer, I guess like stomach cancer, all that stuff, because all that kind of stuff runs. I even like have like diabetes, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's like different, but you know what I mean? Like, so if I could get any of this stuff like tested for, that would be very helpful. I would obviously never want to get a mastectomy before. But if I found out that it was like 80 to 90% chance, I probably would have to.
It's really smart. So I actually just met this girl the other day, and I hung out with her all weekend, and she was 28. She just got diagnosed in August, and she was BRCA positive. And she was like, oh, I'll get a mastectomy after I have kids. And she's 28 and she has diabetic cancer. She doesn't have kids yet. So she was waiting. Yeah. So that's the thing, like, if you're BRCA positive, the right thing to do is to do it.
I should just do it.
To get rid of all the tissue, just in case there's some cancer lingering in there.
Yeah.
But somebody like you who's just getting it, just to get it, you don't have to get your lymph nodes removed. That's like the hard part. The hard part is the lymph nodes and like the chemo. A mastectomy by itself, like if you just did a mastectomy, it's not like horrible. It's not fun. It sucks, but it's not like horrible.
Yeah, no. And so at what percentage would you recommend someone to get a mastectomy? Like, I mean, I know you're not like a doctor, but like if it were you and like you never had breast cancer, but like you knew about it and stuff, like at what percentage would you say that you would probably personally make that decision? Like, is it like 50%, 60%?
Knowing what I know now, in my past, I would say, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Stupid.
A lot of people, they judge for that. And it's like, it's sad.
But knowing what I know now, I feel like if I had any percent chance of getting cancer, I would just do it. Because, okay, first of all, it's a free boob job. Free boob job.
Really?
So once you have breast cancer, you get free boob jobs for the rest of your life. Insurance covers
I did not know that.
So, okay, I call it a free boob job as like a joke. Obviously, there's more to it. But I always wanted like fake boobs.
As it should be, honestly. I mean, you're already stuck with tons of medical bills. You might as well get free boobs.
Exactly.
It's already traumatic that you're getting your boobs removed. Like, the least that they can do is give you free new boobs.
Exactly.
Like, that's the least that you can get. I'm serious.
I got a shiny new pair of boobs until the day I die. So I will have the nicest boobs in Florida.
That is
Forever.
one thing that I'm happy with this country, that they at least give you free boobs to women who have had breast cancer. Like, please continue to do that.
And some women, so I did not qualify for fat grafting, but some people qualify for it. So basically they're getting like free like tummy tucks, free liposuction, because some women decide to get the fat out of their bellies and their thighs sucked and put into their boobs to make them bigger and rounder.
Yeah, because that's, instead of implants, they probably want just
Or
like
they
their
could do both.
fat. Yeah.
Some do both. So some of my friends, like my friend who had a baby, she did it, and she had a little baby pouch, but now
That's nice.
snatch,
I mean,
and it's all included.
and that's a nice way to feel better after everything that you've been through,
Yeah.
honestly.
It's like a free mommy makeover sometimes.
Yeah, no, because I mean, you already been through a lot. Like, I that's something that I feel really happy about that they do for you guys, because it's like, no.
Yeah. So the least they
The
can
least.
do. Yeah.
The least.
Yeah.
Nah. But anyways, I just wanted to thank everyone for watching. And could you please give your Instagram and all of your socials for your podcast and everything?
Yes. Okay. So my personal account is at Krystal Zimbaldi. So Krystal Zimbaldi. My podcast, so I have TikTok and Instagram, and then my podcast, TikTok and Instagram is at Talk Breasty, and then the number 2 me. So that's TikTok and Insta. And then I have Krystal's Clean Kitchen on Instagram. It's my name, Krystal, clean with a K, Klean.
That's cute.
And then kitchen, Kitchen.
Thank you guys so much. And
Thanks
thank
for
you
having me.
so much for being on. I'm serious. Like, you're such an amazing person.
Thank you so much.
This is definitely the most heartwarming episode that I've done so far. And yeah, we will see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening.
Happy breast cancer awareness.
Happy breast
Bye.
cancer awareness.